Toxic people are draining, and worse, they're everywhere. You don't have to look far to find someone who's pulling at your energy, making you feel responsible for their moods and their unspoken expectations. And when you fail to meet these expectations, well, get ready to spend the next 3 days playing the guessing game of what did I do wrong? But what if I told you it's not you? There's a reason you feel this crazy making pressure. It's not about you being too sensitive, too harsh, or too anything. There's something deeper going on behind that nice exterior of theirs, and I'm going to expose it today, once and for all. That's why in this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how these hidden tactics work and why you keep feeling like you're the bad guy, even when you did nothing wrong. My friend, by the end of this episode, you are going to find out exactly why you always feel blamed or end up apologizing for breaking rules you didn't even know existed. And I want you to pay particularly close attention to number 4. This one got me for years. Well, hey, my friend, in case we haven't met yet, my name is Kris Reece, and it is my hope to help you navigate difficult relationships and conquer codependency biblically. If that sounds like a blessing, go ahead and hit that subscribe and notification button. And while you're down there, be sure to grab a copy of our free Narcissist Survival Guide. I'll include a link in the description box below. Before we dive in, I want you to imagine this. Imagine you're trying to fill a leaky bucket. No matter how much water you pour in, it just keeps draining out. You keep trying to fill it up, believing that if you just add more love, more understanding, more care, it's going to hold. But every time, that water slips through, and you're left feeling empty and frustrated, and blamed for the bucket. That's what it's like when you're dealing with a toxic person. You're trying to love them, trying to meet their needs, maybe even trying to get them to feel special. You might even feel sorry for them. I mean, after all, they've had a hard shake at life. But with every effort you put in, you're left feeling emotionally drained and questioning why you're the one that ends up looking like the problem. That's because nice toxic people have secret ways that make you responsible for the holes, the cracks, and the deficits in their buckets. Here's the thing. Toxic people aren't always malicious. They're not always intentionally hurtful. In fact, some of the most challenging toxic relationships involve people who mean well, but the traits that are incredibly damaging to the relationship. They may not be overtly cruel or mean-spirited, but the effects on you are just as draining and destructive. So if you've ever found yourself caught in a relationship where you're constantly trying to guess what the other person needs or feels without them having to say a word, then you know exactly what I mean when I say toxic people have an uncanny ability to make you feel like it's your job to read their mind. That's right. One of their secret toxic tactics is they expect you to be a mind reader. And this can best be described by handing someone a treasure map, but the map has no directions, and the X marking the spot keeps moving. Every time you think you've found the right place, their goal changes, or you're left wondering what you've missed or what you're supposed to be looking for. This is what it feels like when toxic people expect you to read their minds. Instead of clearly communicating their desires or their needs, they leave you to interpret their unspoken expectations. And if you don't guess correctly, you're left feeling guilty, confused, and the one at fault. And you may hear things like, "Oh, you should just know by now." I was talking to a woman not long ago who was complaining about how her sister didn't offer to make lunch for them this weekend. And after a few probing questions, she shared that her sister and her get together for lunch every weekend, and she usually is the one who cooks. And she sent her sister a text and said, "I'll cook this Saturday. How about lasagna?" And the sister texted back, "Okay, sounds good." And this woman was so upset that her sister didn't offer to cook lunch on Saturday. And she went on to share that she had been busy and she'd been traveling, and her sister shouldn't be so selfish, and she should realize how overwhelmed she was, and she should offer to do the cooking this weekend. And then she went on to defend herself. She said, "After all, I always do the cooking." First off, do you hear all the shoulds? This is a red flag for unspoken expectations, and they're not healthy. Secondly, I said to her, "But why did you offer to make lunch if that's not what you wanted to do?" And she quickly changed the subject and started complaining about something else. This lunch cooking woman would have seemed nice, sacrificial, even abused by the picture she painted of her sister. But the truth was, she was deathly afraid of conflict and confrontation, and she wanted her sister and others to read her mind and know what she needed. And like many others who fall into this trap, when these needs aren't met because people aren't mind readers and mood monitors, it creates this toxic, resentful mental loop that plays like a broken record in the back of their mind and then sets the relationship up for ultimate failure. Now, if secret way number 1 is like being handed a treasure map with no directions, then secret way number 2 is like trying to solve a puzzle, but the pieces don't fit, and you're left with more questions than answers. Were you once confident, clear, even joyful? But after years in that toxic relationship, you now second guess everything and wonder what happened to the person you used to be? Then this is for you. Maybe you've begged God to heal the relationship. Maybe you questioned yourself, tried harder, forgiven over and over, only to be met with blame, silence, or twisted words. My friend, that's not love. That's emotional captivity disguised as commitment. And it's keeping you from the freedom that God intended for you. That's why I wrote Breaking the Narcissist Grip. This book isn't about diagnosing them. It's about delivering you. You'll learn how to recognize covert manipulation, respond without guilt, and stop being triggered by the person who keeps wounding you. So if you are ready to cut the strings of manipulation, set boundaries that actually stick, and reclaim your life from takers, go ahead and click down below this video to order your copy today. Instead of directly asking for what they need, toxic people use passive-aggressive comments, small, subtle remarks that leave you wondering whether you're being blamed or it's just your imagination. They'll say things like, "Oh, I guess I'll just do it myself since no one else seems to care," or, "Oh, must be nice to be able to afford that." It's like someone leaving dirty dishes in the sink and then saying, "I guess no one around here cares about cleaning up." Instead of asking directly for help and sharing how they really feel, they leave you to figure it out. And if you don't, you end up guilty and responsible for their frustration. Passive-aggressive behavior often hides behind the true issue, and the nice toxic person expects you to figure it out without them having to say anything directly. They hide behind the nice mask and use plausible deniability should you ever seek clarity for their indirect communication. Yes, it's frustrating because you feel like you're walking on eggshells trying to decipher their cryptic comments. So if secret way number 2 is like trying to solve a puzzle with mismatched pieces, then secret way number 3 is like being given a riddle but with no clear clues to solve it. Instead of using passive-aggressive remarks, toxic people will drop hints, expecting you to pick up what they're putting down without ever having to ask directly for something. And that's what it's like when they expect you to pick up what they're giving you. They leave you guessing, hoping that you'll somehow decipher their vague suggestions. And if you don't, they'll make you feel like you're the one at fault for not understanding. It's an emotional game where you're left feeling confused and drained. All the while, they stand by waiting for you to read between the lines. They say things like, "Oh, it would have been nice if you had thought to make dinner tonight," or "Black cherry's my favorite soda," knowing that it's sitting in your fridge and they want it but won't ask for it. Or, "I can't remember the last time someone surprised me with a birthday cake for my birthday." It's like someone dropping hints about wanting a surprise gift and then getting upset when you don't get it right. But they won't communicate that disappointment directly either. They'll likely just stew in resentment or drop the passive-aggressive comments. And the clues they give for what they want are so vague and veiled, and yet you're expected to know exactly what they want without ever being told. Now, another tactic is what I call the "I understand" trap. These people genuinely act like your time, your energy, and your resources exist for them. But they'll never say that outright. They know how entitled that's going to sound if they do, which is exactly why it's so covert and manipulative. It's subtle. Imagine you're both in the same room. You're focused on your own work, and they're not. They'll try to pull you in somehow, Small conversations, small talk, passive aggressive comments, sometimes with seemingly innocent ones. And when you tell them that you're busy or you can't talk right now, their "I'm okay" is actually not acceptance, it's a badge, a signal that they were the victim here. You see, they don't see themselves as the one imposing on you. They see themselves as the one hurt and disappointed by you, but morally superior because they understand. Their "I understand" isn't a cue for them to step back and live their own life. It's a disguised way of saying, "I understand that you're letting me down, but it's okay. I'll sacrifice anyway." And this twisted little thought process is exactly what is going on in their mind. So if secret way number 3 is like being handed a riddle with no clues, then secret way number 4 is like walking into a room full of people and then suddenly feeling the temperature drop. The chatter stops, the connection fades, and you're left in this uncomfortable silence. Instead of offering hints or subtle remarks, toxic people use silence as a weapon. They withdraw emotionally or stop communicating altogether, leaving you to feel anxious, guilty, and responsible for their mood. And that's what it feels like when they use silence as a weapon. And this silence isn't just quiet, it's heavy. It forces you into a state of constant uncertainty, always questioning what you did or didn't do to upset them. And when you ask if something's wrong, they might respond with, "Nothing, I'm just tired," even though you can feel that something is off. The lack of direct communication and their refusal to open up leaves you feeling like you need to keep digging for the truth. And the purpose is to make you chase them, prove your love, prove your loyalty. But it's just like that leaky bucket. It's never going to be enough. And you might appease them for a moment, but it won't be long, for the toxic games start all over again. Now, if secret way number 4 is like using silence to make you chase them, then secret way number 5 is like setting off a fire alarm to get attention. And they do this by creating chaos to draw you in. You see, nice, toxic people often struggle with deep insecurities, a high fear of rejection and abandonment. And to feel loved and validated, they create drama, these emergencies, hoping that you're going to rush in and rescue them. And when you do, they feel loved, but not in a healthy way, and it's very short-lived. And if you've responded to this tactic, you've likely reinforced a very toxic dynamic, and you've unknowingly played into their hands. But when you don't respond, they default to other nice, toxic tactics to pull you back in, making you feel responsible for fixing the chaos they created. It is a cycle that leaves you feeling drained and confused. They deflect responsibility for their actions and turn the tables to make it seem like you're the one causing the problem. And maybe you have believed that these people are simply struggling, a little broken, shy, but my friend, this isn't timidity, it's toxicity. And it's more than manipulative. It's evil. In fact, the Bible has something very shocking to say about these toxic forms of communication. In Matthew 5:37, it lays it bare when it says, "Let what you say simply be yes or no. Anything more comes from evil." These behaviors keep you in a constant state of confusion, trying to decipher unspoken expectations and hidden emotions. By not directly communicating their needs or frustrations, they make it difficult for you to respond appropriately. And somebody being indirect, passive-aggressive, manipulative, making you walk on eggshells, making you guess their moods, they're not just operating from a wounded soul or a traumatic past or a little bit of brokenness. The Bible says this comes from evil. So how do you protect yourself? Well, number 1, set boundaries. Make it clear that you can't read their mind and you need open communication for a healthy relationship. Number 2, request directness. Encourage honest, clear conversations and let them know that you're not comfortable with, nor will you respond to passive-aggressive remarks. Yes, call it out, even if they deny it. When they're dropping hints, you can lovingly say, "I'm here for you," if there's something you need to say. But be careful not to think that you calling them out is going to change anything. Your job is not to fix them, but rather to set your expectations for healthy communication. You'll not be getting any thank yous, that's for sure. And number 3, I want you to recognize the manipulation. Understand that this indirect communication is a tactic to keep you off balance and in a state of constant uncertainty. And even if they're not doing it maliciously, remember the enemy can work even through seemingly nice people. And if you want to know the one thing that makes you impossible to manipulate, go ahead and watch this episode next. And don't forget to grab a copy of our free Narcissist Survival Guide. I'll include a link in the description box below.